guys? It's your boy DMD, and as requested the other day on my Shaddoll deck profile, I have come here with Drew, who's going to do a few combos or interactions of Shaddolls for us, just so you can kind of learn how the deck, in theory, would function.
Yeah.
Like, if you're just playing, like, the pure variant.
Yeah, no, so one thing I've learned about Shaddolls is, like, this deck's not like your traditional combo deck. There's not, like, a lot of, like, direct combo lines. There's more, like, what's the best way I can increment advantage into a certain, like, you're not trying to, like, well, here's, like, win to Dweller, like, every game. That's not what you're trying to do every game. Like, obviously, if it could happen every game, you'd love that. But, realistically, it's not going to happen. You want to set up as much of a value engine as possible. That way you can just, like, you want to play a longer game with Shaddolls, and the more resources you have access to, the easier that game will be to win.
So it's like kind of like Salamangreat, but with less like disruptive traps as much as it is just like recursion.
Just nickel and diming your opponent.
Yeah. Alright, well, let's get started with combo number 1.
So this combo is Shaddoll Fusion, 4-Mage Juggler, and Squamata is what you need to have in your opening hand. So first, you'll activate Shaddoll Fusion using these two to make Construct. Chainlink 1, Construct, Chainlink 2, Squamata. It doesn't really matter in this particular instance. If this was Trick Clown, you would put this as Chainlink 3 to block Construct and Squamata. So off of them, you're going to end up sending Wendy and Incarnation is where you're going to end up sending. Wendy's effect is going to activate, and you're going to summon Ariel. It doesn't really matter where you summon the Ariel, but let's say you summon it just like in the farthest zone possible is probably the best place to put it. And it'll be summoned to face down because of Wendy's effect. And then you will banish the Damage Juggler.
And search for a Trick Clown.
Search for Trick Clown. You'll end up normal summoning the Trick Clown, linking the Construct and the Trick Clown off.
For Crash Heap? Yep.
Then you will go Chainlink 1, Construct, Chainlink 2, Trick Clown. You'll summon the Trick Clown back to the zone right beside Ariel, and then Construct will add back Shaddoll Fusion. Then you'll activate the Graveyard effect of Ray Shaddoll Incarnation, banishing it and the Construct to flip up Ariel. Ariel's effect will activate to summon a banished Shaddoll monster, which will be Construct.
And you'll trigger the Constructs.
Yeah, it'll be a Chainlink 2, Chainlink 1, Construct, Chainlink 2, Cross Sheep. Cross Sheep will summon back Squamata or Wendy. In some variations of the combo, if you have like another fusion spell, you can end on When the Dweller, but in this particular instance we don't. So it probably makes more sense to resummon this Wendy back because we already have 2 level 4s in play. And we have this Shaddoll Fusion in hand for the next turn. So we have this, and then Construct will send a card. In this particular instance, we can send whatever we want with Construct. So you can send Beast, Falco, Hedgehog. It doesn't really matter. For the instances of this, we're just going to send Beast because it doesn't really affect the rest of the line. So you'll send Beast and draw another card. Then you'll overlay the Trick Clown and the Ariel to make Abyss Dweller. And you will also set the Shaddoll Fusion. So right now, this doesn't look very intimidating, but what essentially we're looking at here is we're looking at Opcalone on our opponent's turn. We're looking at an Opcalone on our opponent's turn using this Construct and this Wendy. We'll look at another monster from the Wendy. Construct will add back the Shaddoll Fusion we used to summon the Opcalone. Opcalone will negate something, and if they kill this Opcalone, we can search and then discard another card.
Also, they're under Dweller.
They're also under Dweller, and we can detach this Trick Clown to it and have another monster in play. So we have like 4 monsters in play, and we'll still have like 4 cards in hand as well. This combo is going to be Shaddoll Fusion, Squamata, and Wendy. This doesn't necessarily have to be Shaddoll Fusion, but you just prefer it because it's a quick play spell. So how this combo starts is you activate Shaddoll Fusion, use Squamata and Wendy to summon Shaddoll Opcalone. You're not going to use the effect to negate anything. but you will use the effect of Skomata and Wendy. So Wendy will summon Falco or Beast. It doesn't really matter. You're gonna send the other one. So you'll summon Beast off of Wendy, and then you'll send Falco to set itself. Then you'll link Op Cologne away into Gravity Controller. Op Cologne's effect will activate. You'll search Shaddoll Incarnation and then discard another card, and then you'll set the Incarnation. So what, like, again, this doesn't really look very scary, but what they have to deal with is they have to deal with Shaddoll Incarnation, which will summon back this Op Cologne to negate something else. They also have to deal with a set Falco and a set Beast. So you'll be summoning back another monster you can use during your turn, which Shaddoll Incarnation can also flip up on your turn. And 2 new cards you'll get off Beast when they flip it up.
And you still have 2 cards in hand on top of that because it's only a 3-card combo. So you could have like Ash or something.
Right, you could have Ash, Veiler, Lost Wind. There's other cards in your hand.
Whatever disruptive cards you have.
Yeah.
So, and that's pretty much it for combo number 2. Talking a couple minutes ago about how we play defensive cards to kind of bolster our ability to play through our opponent's disruptions. What defensive cards do you play?
So, those would be your Call by the Graves, the Veilers, and the Lost Ones. So, probably should start with Call by the Grave. So, yes, Call by the Grave's main application is stopping hand traps. But Call by the Grave in this deck acts more like a trap card than a spell card because you're going to interrupt your opponent on their turn. Remember, our game plan is like a nickel and diming our opponent to victory, right? So let's say they're playing like the Mirror or like another graveyard-based deck. Like, you use this sort of like a DD Crow just like on their turn. It's like, oh, send a really key card and you just banish it and negate it. Because graveyard decks never, and that's why I'm citing Skullmeister right now. Probably should actually get that one out for you.
Explain too, yeah.
Skullmeister. The same reason why I'm playing Skullmeister in the side. So, considering how graveyard-centric most decks are in today's metagame, having a way to just stop a graveyard-based deck at its choke point can sometimes just end their turn. Like, we're not really an OTK deck. We are
a control deck.
No, not even control. It's tempo. Like, we're making like very small incremental plays very small incremental plays that eventually win us the game.
It's tempo and control. It's both.
Yeah. Tempo is a mix of aggro and control.
Okay, so it's tempo.
So yeah, that's why we play the Skullmeisters and the Call by the Graves. Lost Wind and Veiler very much fall into the same mentality. Stopping key effects at certain choke points gives you, like, well, obviously make sure you don't die, but like it makes it to where your opponent doesn't overwhelm you an advantage. That's what you're trying to do to your opponent, is overwhelm them an advantage using cards like Falco, Skomata, Wendy, and Beast to just accrue like a bunch of advantage. That when you get back to your turn, your opponent's looking at your board. It's like, well, I have 5 set monsters, I have 4 cards in hand, and you have 3 cards on the field and like 2 cards in hand. Like, you're just trying to get more resources, generally speaking, than your opponents. And while these cards are technically, like, Lost for One's like a 1.5 for 1,
yeah.
like, theoretically. Yeah, remember, like, I've always seen this deck as just nickel and diming your opponent. I'm not a fan of, like, they're just, like, trying to slap a bull sword on the table and trying to kill them. Sometimes that does work, but generally speaking, I've never found it to work for me. I feel like, and this kind of has to go with my own playstyle, I prefer, like, tempo decks. That's why I played Salad for
a year.
Yeah,
practice, well,
yeah.
5 months, something like that.
I played Salad for a long time, and that deck is very much a tempo deck, using cards like Rage and Roar to just nickel and dime your opponent to a victory, and eventually slamming on like an Abramax or a Bull Sword or a Warlord or whatever to just finish
Kill
up the game. Yeah. And I use that same mentality when building this deck. That's why I'm like that's why I'm like playing 3 Veiler, 2 Lost Wind, the Skullmeisters, and the Call by the Graves. Just now, this might not work for everybody. Like, obviously, you can pivot this deck to more of a like go hard combo deck, playing the like the Plant Engine, for example. You can play like the Predator Plants in here. I might try that out, but I'm not sold on it. So like, I may or may not be playing it. See what works for you. This is what worked for me in my experience playing the deck. But like, everyone has their own playstyle, is what it comes down to. And this is just what I've preferred.
All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Deck real good.
Thank you, Drew, for doing this kind of deck, not tutorial, but I guess kind
Deck
of a
theory, probably
theory crafting. But I know some of you guys were asking for this on his profile just to kind of give some idea and theory behind the choices that he played and why he played them. So here you go, I guess. It's me, it's that DMD, and your boy is out.